Hello, Dr. Dan Miller here, Historical Solutions LLC. You're on the 250 River with Dr. Dan. This is episode 37 that takes us up to the week ending July 24th, 1775. 250 years ago, the week ending July 24th, 1775. We're going to take a look at the top five of that slice of time, 250 years ago, the top five things from my full entry of Americanism Redux that you can find up on the website, historicalsolutions.com. Go to Americanism Redux on the front page. Let's thank our sponsors for today, specifically John Hill and Charles Wright in Hartford, Connecticut. Now, John and Charles have a special skill, and they would like for you to send some business their way if you're in the market for their special skill and the thing that they do and make. They make leather pants, or leather breeches as they're called. You can find them next to the Widow Collier's Tavern in downtown Hartford, 250 years ago right now. So remember, next to the Widow Collier's Tavern, the next time you're there to imbibe, to refresh yourself, set aside a couple of minutes and wander across the way to John Hill and Charles Wright's new establishment where they're making and selling leather pants. A couple of selling points that they want you to know about. They're apprentices in this business, so they've studied at it, they've worked at it, they've gotten certified, if you will, at it. So they're apprenticed leather pants makers. And secondly, they plan to live here for into the extended future. So they're setting down roots, which means that they're going to stand by their work, and they want you, fellow Hartford residents, they want you to feel good about your purchase and keep coming back to them. So that's an incentive for you to put your money on the counter for the next time around you're in the market for a pair of leather pants. Be sure to call on John Hill and Charles Wright next to the Widow Collier's Tavern in downtown Hartford. Thank you to them, sponsors episode 35. Let's do our top five. The graphics department has churned out a new product for us. I should have gone to John and Charles. Maybe we could have had this made on leather pants to show you and display and to wow you with our graphics. So, top five. One thing, I think I've not done a very good job with keeping a consistent emphasis on the leadership component of this, because that is one of the things I want you to come here to experience, is some leadership thoughts from these stories 250 years ago. So I want to do a better job of that. So I'll try to keep that more in mind than maybe I have up to this point. Let's start with number five: real people, real stories, real life from 250 years ago on the road to the American founding. We're on the river. Number five: George Washington, the general in charge of the new Continental Army outside of Boston, which has surrounded the British that are penned up in Boston. George Washington has heard a rumor, and he's putting some credence to that rumor. He's putting some credibility to it, and that is sometime in the next 4 weeks, sometime within the next month, he's pretty confident that the British will evacuate Boston, and this part of whatever is going on will be over with that evacuation. So that's what he's heard. He's picked this up from some sources, and as I said, he thinks it's legitimate. So that's number five of our top five list. I wonder how much you rely on information like that in your own leadership. Can he verify it? Can you verify it? Where's it come from? Can I cross-check it to something else? So that's number five for 250 years ago. Today, number four, we're going to go to another famous person, Benjamin Franklin. For those of you who know anything about Benjamin Franklin, what I say next to you might be a little surprising. So here it is. For number four, Benjamin Franklin has just now he's a delegate for Pennsylvania in the Second Continental Congress that's been meeting in Philadelphia. He's one of the delegates from Pennsylvania. However, it's only within the last week, it's only within even the last 2-3 days that Benjamin Franklin has managed to lift a cloud off of him. People have not looked very favorably on him. The people of Philadelphia, to be specific, they're suspicious of him. They think he's a climber. They think he's too sympathetic to the British. They think he's too committed to getting an imperial appointment to something, because he's spent too much time in London and in England and in the British Isles over the past decade. And so they've been very suspicious of just how strong of a supporter is he of colonial rights and of the colonial movement to be one of our delegates sitting in the Second Continental Congress. So it's only within the last 48 hours or so that he's managed to lift some of that suspicion off of him. Here's how he did it. He did it by writing and submitting just this week, that ends July 24th, his version of what he's calling the Articles of Confederation. It's a proposed framework for the 13 colonies to join together as a standing entity of their own. The Articles of Confederation. Now that's not been accepted. It's not been adopted. It's just been received in a kind of a long essay format. I believe he's got 12 or 13 different structures outlined in this proposal, this plan of Articles of Confederation. And so the Second Continental Congress is just now sitting down to kind of absorb that proposal of Franklin's. That's what's gotten the cloud lifted, is his authorship of that. I find that interesting. I wonder, do you, in your leadership, have you had a moment or had a time, this is not a very fun question, have you had a time when you found your reputation was not what you wanted it to be? And how have you gone about trying to improve it, repair it, make it better? That's exactly where Franklin has been in the last several weeks. And as I said, it's only here in the last several hours that he's managed to see some substantial improvement in his reputation in the community of Philadelphia. Again, you might not think of Benjamin Franklin in quite that way, but there we are. Number 3 of our top 5 on the 250 River with Dr. Dan. We're going to go up to Boston. We started there with Washington's picking up of the rumor and kind of accepting it as true. We came down to Philadelphia to pick up Franklin for our number 4 spot. We're going back up to Boston now, outside of Boston, for number 3. It's a place called Prospect Hill. It's one of the heights overlooking Boston, and on Prospect Hill is a division of soldiers from the Continental Army that are led by Major General Israel Putnam from Connecticut. They're primarily Connecticut soldiers that are encamped on Prospect Hill as part of the semicircle surrounding the British inside the town. It's a big day 250 years ago this week, ending July 24th. On Prospect Hill, it's a big day because the colony of Connecticut has designed and produced and sent their flag, a special flag, to the soldiers from the colony that are on Prospect Hill. And they're having a ceremony to bring that flag out and unfurl it and hold it up and wave it, and they're going to give 3 cheers to it. It's a big deal for the Connecticut contingent of the new Continental Army. This isn't Washington. This isn't anybody else from Massachusetts, New Hampshire, wherever. It's the Connecticut guys and their number 1 guy, Major General Israel Putnam. On the front of the flag is a Latin saying that translated into English reads like this: God who transplanted us hither will support us. That's written in Latin on the front of the flag. On the back of the flag is an English phrase, an appeal to heaven. Quote, an appeal to heaven, close quote. They are borrowing the motto of Massachusetts, their neighbor. Massachusetts got it from John Locke, an English philosopher 100 years prior. in another time when liberty seemed to be under duress and in danger. John Locke was a philosopher who's being reread now voraciously by the colonial rights people 100 years after the fact. There's Mr. Blue Jay. He'd be on the flag too, I suppose. So on the front, God who transplanted us hither will support us. On the back, an appeal to heaven. Question for you. Does this flag make this a holy cause? Holy. Does this flag, in this moment of honor and ceremony, make it a holy cause in the minds of the men on Prospect Hill? And number two, can we say this is now a holy war? If you've got a flag with these two kinds of sayings, front and back, is this essentially then the symbol of holy war? Curious how you think through that a little bit. Check our time, we're okay. Now number 2 and number 1 are actually going to be together. So let me tell you. So here's 2, but I can't separate them. So 1 and 2, 2 and 1, they're together. We're going to go down, we're going to stay on Prospect Hill, and then we're going to go down to Richmond, Virginia. On Prospect Hill, a guy named Sam Cooper is a Connecticut soldier. I believe he's also there for this ceremony. He writes home to his family, his wife and kids. He writes home to them, and it's most of it is a fairly mundane kind of letter, but there's some pretty tough stuff at the bottom, at the end of it. And he says he wants his children to know that their dad is not a coward. Tell the children their father is not a coward. And then he closes with this: let the event be what it will. What he means is the outcome of whatever's going to happen. And remember, he's on Prospect Hill, he's just a soldier. And he's looking across the way at the British who are trapped, penned up, encircled inside of Boston. And he's saying, let the event be what it will. Let the potential battle be what it will. I am no coward, and I want my kids to know that. And then finally we go down to Richmond, Virginia, and George Mason. George Mason is attending. He's one of several, I don't know how many there are, 60 or so delegates at the Second Virginia Convention. This is inside Virginia. This is not the Continental Congress. This is inside Virginia. And Mason, brilliant man, well schooled, well studied, well regarded lawyer, highly intellectual. Mason has taken on the responsibility of kind of leading the small group or committee that's writing all of the militia and armed defense policies and plans that the colony of Virginia is going to have. George Mason and 2, 3, 4, 5 other guys are taking that on. They're working 8-hour days, 10-hour days, 7 days a week, 6 or 7 days a week to get this task done. And Mason, as I said, well read. So remember we talked about John Locke? He knows Locke real well. From a writing perspective, a reader perspective, a thinker's perspective, he knows Locke and 24 others very, very well. And so everything they're writing down, every sentence, Mason is doing his best to keep the military policies, the militia policies, and the armed defense policies rooted in philosophical principles of freedom and liberty, no standing army, civilian power over armed power, all of that. He's trying, and they're working like madmen to get these policies crafted and written out. And he's just trying to make sure that they're tied to the best principles possible. What a huge task. And so I wonder, how do you connect what Sam Cooper wrote, let the event be what it will? How do you connect that to what George Mason is struggling to do, to keep everything tied to a philosophical principle. So, Dan, what's the big idea? The big idea is this for you 250 years ago and from your leadership right now. It seems to me one of the things that ties all of this together, the big idea, is what's the basis for what we're doing? What's the basis? We say this, we do this, we don't say this, we don't do this. Whatever all of that combination is, what's the basis for it? Can we show the connection, a consistent, coherent connection between actions and rhetoric and thought patterns and thought processes and the ideas that they embody and that they grow from and that they champion? What's the basis for what we're doing? It seems to me that's the big idea for the week ending July 24th, 1775. Thank you for watching episode 37. I'm Dr. Dan Miller. Soon you'll see the next edition, the next entry of Americanism Redux, which means soon you'll see episode 38 that'll help illustrate it from a video perspective. I hope you're doing well, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.